Well, welcome back to Hochfilzen for the second race of the day. The men's sprint getting underway very shortly. Conditions looking pretty good. It's just a little bit warmer than it was earlier on. The wind, nothing too significant. We had one period where it was a little bit stronger with women. That was early on in the race. And as you can see, the air temperature now at -6. Well, having said it's got warmer, it has got warmer, and then it's got colder again. So it's on its way down. And I think that's what the French team have seen, because they've decided that groups 2 and 3 are better than 1. Well, we saw the women's sprint earlier on this morning, and that, of course, their second sprint of the day. Mironova of Russia, and she wasn't the only Russian, skiing a whole lot faster than last week.
Very much so, Patrick, and last year her best ever performance previously last year was 7th, so she really has lifted her game today, and her ski speed massively improved from last weekend in Östersund.
The ever-present Russian fans enjoying that one. Well, welcome back to Hochfilzen. Here is the course profile for the men's sprint over 10 kilometres, 3 times around the 3.333, and of course the big climb before they descend down into the range. In terms of compared to the women's race, Mike?
Yeah, well, this leg, Patrick, on the right side, as we see looking on it, they've climbing further up the hill before that spin round to the left, so slightly tougher climb, therefore a little more recovery, I think, prior to the range. The snow is going to be a huge factor, and with Johannes Tingesbo, bib number 17, he's going to find the conditions slow going.
Oh, look, a 4-degree change in 5 minutes. We can't sense that from the commentary box. I have a feeling that initial temperature gauge thermometer we saw was wrong at -6. The French surely are hoping, I think they were hoping it was going to get warmer today, so there was a bit more moisture in the snow. But with the fresh snow falling, Mike, now you wouldn't want to be in group, you certainly wouldn't want to go off in the first group. And I see that the Swedes have put 3 of theirs in group 1. Johannes Tingesbo goes at 17, so he might find a little bit of fresh snow to plough through. Where would you want to be?
Do you know what? I'm looking at Martin Fourcade, bib number 78. 40 minutes after the start, there's going to be a lot of traffic having pressed this snow down. Even if the snow is still falling, this last 10-15 minutes has accounted for quite a substantial amount of new snow on the track. I would go midfield or towards the back of the field.
But if we have a lot, then it's going to get deeper and softer, particularly on the uphill climbs. That could be costly. So it's a question, really, of how much it snows, how deep the snow is.
And I think this front coming over, this snow front, yes, the skies were open earlier a little, and this really has lifted the temperature up. The skies open, obviously, allowing for the colder conditions. So certainly a much slower track than during the women's race.
And with the time coming up to 2 local, then you'd expect to see little bit of drop in the wind and the temperature. Mike, we've already pointed out that the French are starting late. You've got Fourcade starting 78, Dessieux starting 83, and it's not exactly all their eggs in one basket, but where Fourcade goes, you know that's what they favour.
It is. They did make a mistake last year at the first World Cup in Pokljuka, deciding Fourcade should go, I think it was bib 74 that day, but it was so slow and difficult. He still won, but it really did take a lot of his energy for the races, the rest of the races prior to Christmas.
Well, it's looking good for some Christmas skiing. For those of you who've decided to head out to these parts, often Scandinavia, Finland are favoured at this time of year for the safety of the snow, but there is plenty to go around, and should have a cracking festive period with these sort of conditions. The Biathlon Tour, incidentally, 1 more week to go after this one, and we head to Le Grand Bonnard, just near Annecy, for the 3rd time, I think, World Cup being held there. The French finally got a win last time we went to Annecy-le-Grand-Bonnard, and fantastic venue. Perhaps the best crowd of the year.
It's great, and the fact that the spectators are so tight trackside, it's spectacular. Somewhat 17,000 the last time we went there. I'm sure we'll see even more this time round.
Yeah, I think that was absolutely key, that they ran the course through the meadows, gave the spectators an opportunity to go trackside. We don't see that so often. Ruhpolding, it's limited, but you have a few on the tracks, particularly on the exit from the range. I'm trying to think where else you get a lot of trackside support.
There's very few. Oslo, we get the spectators on the trackside, but not quite in the numbers that we see in Le Grand Bonnard.
Yeah, and of course, Oberhof, when we go there, there's usually a fair amount of spectators. In the meadow at Antolz is a good one if you're thinking of heading somewhere. If you want a suntan, that's the one to go to. Usually fantastic weather. That comes up shortly after the New Year break. 111 on the start sheet. So week 2. And very, very wintry conditions here in Austria, a venue that's hosted the opening round of the World Cup before it started to go to Östersund back in 2008, just after they'd held the World Championships. I guess that was part of the deal. And actually, Östersund's come up trumps year after year, Mike. Cold enough to make snow, even if they haven't had fresh stuff.
That's right, and often convoys of trucks bring snow here as well. Schmolski, 84th last weekend, missing 5. He missed 4 out of his first 5 shots. So it can be very different today if he gets these first 5.
Yeah, I think a lot of that was to do with the wind, and has to be said, quite a lot of luck involved in biathlon in Östersund, because if you get one of their gusts coming through, you've got real problems. What will Adam Vaclavic get from the Czech Republic comes from Jelemnitz, and the Czechs doing pretty well this morning. Couple in the 2 in the top 15, I think they achieved.
They did, and looking very good in terms of shooting. Their skiing was good as well. Hopefully that transmits across to the men's team.
Yeah. Now, Clement Bauer, 4 wins in his career. He's certainly capable. I don't think he'll like the fresh snow, but he's quite a slight build, so should be able to float over the softer snow. These are the sort of conditions that Bjorndalen used to like so much, because he was, what, 5 kilos lighter than most, and a very delicate technique that he had. He wasn't aggressive on the skis. He would just
easily, efficiently float his way around the 10K track, the 20K track.
Torsten Sternesson of Sweden, 3 Swedes, as I say, starting in Group 1. They'll all be off in the first 6 minutes. They've got Ponsiluoma and Samuelsson going 11 and 12. Öberg did pretty well this morning. I don't think they need to have a concern about the skis. But with the snow starting, what, 20 minutes ago, Mike? What will the technicians have done to the skis, or too late?
Possibly too late. They had readings from the women's race, and then it changed. Of course, you've got a big team. There's 20 officials in the Russian team, Norwegian team, and the German team. So you've got plenty of staff to work on, and they will have been out there with the fluorocarbons, which are being disallowed for next season and the future in terms of waxing.
Yeah, that's got to be great news for the smaller teams without the budget. I remember when Ziref came in, it was more expensive than silver.
It's almost like
per ounce.
The cost of a pair of skis to wax them. Worth it though.
Well, that tells you that one of the Germans is about to get on the tracks. Eric Lesser it is, and when he's on form, he's very good, but we haven't seen that of late. He was 33rd in the sprint last weekend, or last week in Östersund, shooting 2 and 2 on that occasion, and again had problems in the prone position in the individual in Östersund, missing 4 of the 10, but clearing all 10 of his stand targets. So a mixed bag of results for Lesser.
The Germans, as you alluded to, they seem to like this event. It almost feels like home. It's the same language, of course, but their fans, being so close, come over here. And Benedikt Dahl obviously won the World Championships here, this race. Schemp won the previous year by only 9 seconds ahead of Fourcade. And Bernbacher won in 2012-13. So they do like this venue.
Yeah, they've had a lot of success here. I was just thinking, who is the best German biathlete of all time?
My brain goes straight to Frank Luck.
Frank Luck?
Yeah.
Wow.
When you look at numbers of victories.
Are we going to include East Germany?
I think
go back to 88, possibly?
Yeah, let's include that as well. Frank-Peter Rusch, he was sparking through the 80s, 84, 88, of course, winning 2 gold medals in 88. 2 from 3. There were only 3 up for offer in those days, with a 20k, a 10k, and a relay.
Yeah, I think he might have upset Sven Fischer. You know, he's had more World Cup wins than Frank Luck.
Yeah, it was a late night last night. Sven is where my magnetic north was going. Sven has 37 wins. That is correct. And let's not forget Gross either. He's put in the time. He's won over 30 World Cup victories. Yeah,
Mickey Grice as well. I mean, there's a whole host of them right up there, but I still think Fischer shines out for me, not only in terms of you know, his number of wins, but also the way he raced. Julian Eberhardt now getting underway for Austria. He has got a massive support here. One of the most exciting athletes out there because he has that ski speed. But what will he do on the range? Just looking at his record so far, Mike, again a man who struggled with the prone, but that could so easily be that the little gust of wind in Östersund came at the wrong time. So we'll get a true test of his prone shooting here.
Do you know what? When you live here, this is your home range, you're on it 200 days a year, you know it inside out. And that's the case with the Austrian team here, certainly with the Eberhardt brothers. Toby Eberhardt starts later, his Julian's older brother, and he starts on bib 56. Eric Lesser, it's a good start, very strong start. Won't be the fastest. I think we'll see some 6 seconds, maybe more, taken off that time.
I think we're going to see these splits well beaten, and not so long from now. Of course, we got Johannes Tingesberg going 17, so everyone's looking forward to seeing what sort of form he is really on. Mixed bag of results in Sweden, as I'm sure you all know. Number 12, Seb Samuelsson, I think probably still the best of the Swedes, but Ponsiluomo, Sternesson pushing him hard.
This is the extra part of the track, the longer section, which the men have to complete. And it just feels difficult out there on your own, wearing bib number 1 in this new deep snow. Deep, I say deep, it's only a couple of millimeters, but it's a slower track out front.
Smolsky using skate 2 all the way up until he reached the advertising board. I remember when skate 2 first came in, you did 4 or 5 strides and then had to have a rest. Things have changed a bit.
It's incredible. You're using your legs and your arms. It's like pulling down heavy weights in the gym, as well as pushing to the side heavy weights. So huge effort through the body. A lot of strength required.
I must say, I think we were lucky to be involved in the sport when the transition from classic to skating happened, because that has to be the most dramatic time that Nordic skiing and biathlon has ever seen.
It was an interesting journey, and of course our Swiss coach said, oh no, it's not for us, skating won't last. He got it so wrong.
Yeah. And those who got it right generally disappeared into the woods, do their training in secret, because they had sussed that you could skate for more than a kilometre.
Well, that reminds me of Harkonnen, the Finn who won the 15 kilometre at the World Championships in '85. He was on the glaciers, he was roller skiing all summer, and he was streets ahead of the rest to win that title.
So Eberhardt, steady start by his standards, 5 off the pace. Now, Johannes Kern for Germany, and after this morning's women's sprint, Germany need something to shout and sing about. Otherwise, it's going to be very quiet in the entertainment tent later on today. Kern shot okay in Sweden. He did a 0.2, still managed to finish in the top 6. So in terms of form, I think he's probably the best of the Germans at the moment.
His skiing speed is excellent, and I love the way he attacks. He keeps on attacking. Fatigue throughout his muscles. We saw that in the 20 kilometre, but he managed to push in one of the fastest final 4Ks.
Now, are we going to see the fastest split from Johannes Tingesberg? It is quite possible. He won this event last year. In terms of Dorothea Vera, who won this event last year, won the first sprint of the season, won today. Johannes Tingesbo's on exactly the same run at the moment.
Be interesting to see how he achieves today, but the last 2 times of asking coming here, Johannes Tingesbo did take the victory. And in fact, 3 years ago, he was second by 0.7 of a second.
So Smolski on the range, and the fact that the snow is just about falling vertically tells you that the wind is not a massive issue at the moment, and the hair is pretty static.
Absolutely static. So,
no idea what he's got in it, but it's
got to look good. But these are easy conditions, and recovery down to the range, yes, he's had 25-30 seconds, fairly easy.
Well, that's a slow shoot and ultimately a bad one. 37. We saw a couple of women getting the prone shoot completed in just over 25 this morning.
You can understand the shake of the head from the coach, because 37 seconds is very slow. He took an H for the last shot, and I think that's what caused him to miss.
Alexander logging off. Good starting position. He's chasing Landertinger and Schlesinger and Burr and Kern. He's got plenty of benchmarks up ahead of him, and logging off. Didn't do so well here last year. Finished 8th, missing 1 in the prone, but he went on to finish 2nd in the next sprint, which was in Novo Miesto, shooting a 0-0. And he got a couple of 0-0s throughout the season. Very few people getting more than 3. I think he got 3 last year logging off, which is as good as anyone just about.
It's good. When Johannes Tingesbo had 16 of those wins, it was hard for anyone else to get in there. Iliev, 32-year-old now, 10th last week, missing 2 in standing.
You say it as if it's a bad thing. I'd give anything to be 32.
I say 32 now. He's been around. He's been around for a while.
Yeah.
And his biathlon, you know, he's good. He was on the podium. Has been on the podium in the past. This looks good.
I think the best thing about Uliana Bjorndalen, apart from his long list of honours, was the fact that he showed older athletes in their mid-30s, late 30s, that winning was still possible.
He did. He made that path a possibility, rather than, oh, you're over 30, it's time to hang up your skis. That's not the case anymore.
Yeah. Johannes Tingesbo could have another 15 years on the circuit. Easily, easily. That will take him up to 41. Now, Eric Lesser, fastest in so far.
That's pretty good to 15 seconds. He's always fast between shots.
That's a good shoot. The German contingent of the crowd like it. Mark Kirchner doesn't show it, but he'll be secretly happy inside that icy exterior. And Lesser comes out with 2.3 to play with over Clement Bauer, who's had a good start. Bauer knows the second half of the race is the tricky part for him.
Isn't that lovely to see the fast action? So it's finger, thumb, pull the bolt back, flick it forward with the thumb, and you're straight onto your trigger. We forgot, or I forgot, the great Mark Kirchner on Telescope today, head coach of the German program. He was certainly, he retired young, like many of the big names have done, but he certainly won the major titles, the Olympics, 5 World Championships golds.
Which is why I mentioned 88.
He wasn't there.
Oh.
He was up and coming at that stage. Lachipov, I wonder if we're going to see, Patrick, the same as the Russian women. They seem to really have picked up their ski speed this week. I get the impression with Lachipov, 3rd fastest, now 4th fastest at 1.1. Maybe we'll see the same. Eberhardt into the range, 2nd fastest, only 0.5 of a second behind. Johannes Tingesbo is going to break all the early fastest ski times. He's got an advantage over Kuhn of 8 seconds at 1.9 kilometers. Well, home range. It's not an advantage for Eberhardt at the moment. Rico Gross must be disappointed. He knows that Julien can shoot an awful lot better than that. No expression, just disappointment inside.
That was his big hope, really. Julien Eberhardt, the fastest of the Austrians. Now, Johannes Tingesbø, fastest at the first split by 6.3 seconds over Loginov, and he keeps that going up towards the 2.3. Is he going to have 8.8 to play with? And that's a fairly stiff pace, but it's still only a third of a penalty loop that he's gained.
I think he realizes in his mind today he'll need 10 out of 10 to have a strong chance of winning.
Samuelsson coming in, lying down in 7th place at the moment, 9.6 off the pace of Vaclavic, but only 4.2 down on the current leader, Lesser. So Samuelsson goes clean. He's going to be just outside the leaders, but the important thing is to get away without a penalty. Bjørntegard now tries. A man who's rapidly becoming one of the main players in the Norwegian team. But it's tough, Mike, when you've got the two Berg brothers doing so well. In a way, it takes the pressure off him. But on the other hand, it's quite nice to have, you know, the status of being the #1 in a team. I
think so. There's always pressure comes with that kind of position. But Bjørntegard, he's a reliable member. He won't let you down in the relays. And I think Mazet is happy with that start.
So Granichev, second of the Russians to come through. Latypov started number 9, and Latypov currently lying down in 7th, having missed 1. We have 6 athletes clear, so just under 50% hitting the perfect score so far.
Granichev, he finished hitting the perfect 10 here 4 years ago. He finished 6th. Was 32 seconds off the lead time then, but with that penalty miss now, I would say he'll be more off the lead time today. Kuhn, he's 2 extra added on weights on his barrel, maybe expecting wind. Still missed 1 though. The wind, if you add weights on the rifle, stabilizes. Johannes Tingesbø ready to shoot. Just that little movement of the rifle as he takes a lungful of air and he's straight back onto the target.
Well, that is going to be a very, very healthy lead, and the message being sent to the stands where Martin Fourcade is just about to get ready for his race. A 26-second advantage, and if he goes clear in the stand, Mike, it makes Martin Fourcade's job very, very hard. But I think we both feel that Johannes isn't quite as quick as he was last year, maybe half a percentage point slower. Martin Fourcade is a good 2 quicker than he was last year. It's evened things out again.
It is, and then Terje Bø has picked his game up. I think he's nearly the same form that he had when he took the overall title in, what, 2011?
I was just going to say, do you think he's a contender this year?
The 2 big names are hard to beat. Martin Fourcade and his younger brother Johannes Tingesbø, very tough to beat in the overall season.
Yeah, Terje Bø lying second at the moment, 8 points down on Martin Fourcade. Johannes Tinges 1 point behind his brother. Those two having a really good battle. I think Johannes Tinges really streaks ahead of everyone in the sprint, but when it comes to the longer races, Terje is getting in on the act as we watch Alexander Loginov in for shoot number 1. 13 seconds off Johannes Tinges, and that puts him in 2nd place.
He won't know it now that he was 13.6 off coming into the range, but he will be told after this shoot, and he'll think, what do I need to do to catch that man on his skis? Johannes Tingesbø, so fast.
That's good, solid shoot.
Quite interesting. Anatoly there, happy. But he slowed that shoot down, 31 seconds. Last week we saw 24 seconds. Maybe the altitude here is 1,010 meters on the range, a little higher out on the course. It's not real altitude, but you do feel it. Just slightly more out of breath than, say, when they were shooting last week in Östersund in Sweden. That was at 450 meters.
Oh, 2 more misses. Well, those are the sort of problems he had in the individual in Sweden. Clement Bauer, 3 down. Can he clear the last 2? These are the ones so often where he has problems. Bauer certainly a potential podium finish. Oh, we do not see that so often. Great for the Slovenians. Clement Bauer goes clear. A man who's got, what is it, 4 wins? Oh no, he's never been on the podium. I looked at it the wrong way round. He's never been on the podium, and he's so much better than 4th. He deserves a podium. This might be his opportunity.
Well done to him to get all 5 down. Jakub Fak has done well here in his past. Won a pursuit here a couple of years ago.
A big one, like a world championship back in 2017.
Was a big one.
Yeah, and he's actually been skiing pretty well. I've got him in the top 5 in terms of ski speed, both in the sprint and the individual. There weren't too many, Mike, who skied fast in both races, but Benedikt Dull was one of them.
Interesting, and go back to the Slovenians. That hopefully will ripple through the rest of the team and raise their game. That can often happen. Eric on 6.6 kilometers skied. He's feeling this. The legs will be fatigued, and you push your limits in the sprint. Lane 18, there's no wind factor at all, so you can ski further up the range as far as lane 16.
Using the diaphragm to breathe, you can see the extended belly as he breathes in, as opposed to the chest.
I'm surprised this is a meltdown. It looked like he had everything under control. Just pushing the limit on the track.
Well, that's very, very disappointing for him. What about Emilien Jacquelin, the French? Still on a high in terms of belief after their success up in Sweden.
His ski speed is good into range. She's only just under 9 seconds behind Johannes Tingesbø. And shooting a little faster.
Well, that's very handy indeed. 27.1 the time for Jacquelin, and if he's going well, we can expect Dessieux to go well, Fillon Maillet, and of course Martin Fourcade.
Patrick Favre on the right, the Italian who's coaching the French team, and Frank Vidoux alongside him. Shooting coach.
Angelis of Greece. Let's see what he can do in terms of ski speed, in terms of finishing position. Anything in the top 60 would be brilliant. Get himself a start in the pursuit. And the men's pursuit tomorrow, I think I'm right in saying that, and then the relay on Sunday. The women are doing it the other way round.
Angelis, he is one athlete from Greece. He's got one support staff who has to be on the range right now, so it's hard to get your skis up and running. The coach on the range is the coach who prepares the skis, as opposed to some teams with 20 officials helping their cause.
Benny Vega just settling for his prone shoot as we watch Julian Eberhardt feel he's thrown his opportunity away with those 2 misses in the prone. Oh, It was looking so good, but there was just a tiny, tiny change of the rhythm between 4 and 5, and it cost him that target. I think he was then starting to think, oh, don't tell me I'm going to clear 5 in the stand, having missed 2 in the pro. But 3 misses in all for Julien Eberhardt, an extra 450 metres, which certainly for me would take me a couple of minutes, but for these guys, that's around a minute 10, minute 15. And by the time you add the extra fatigue to the legs, a minute 20?
Yeah, it's frustrating. It's frustration as well. You tighten up. Disappointment is a negative situation. I like the way Samuelsson backed his pace off. You climb up under that bridge. Few strides easy, and he's ready to shoot.
Now, I get a feeling that both Bird brothers may be coming into the range at roughly the same time. Johannes Tingis starting 17, Tadeusz starting at 35. This is Bjørntegard, their teammate, who's already cleared 5 in the prone. It's a steady shoot.
It's not a steady cameraman.
That's good. Very, very solid. No rush, and a nice solid position. So again, his stock is rising.
It is, and you can tell his strategy that he's not pushing the pace of shooting. He's determined to get them all down because he's not the fastest skier. He knows he has to get all 10 targets.
Now, do you think there's any favouritism amongst the Norwegian team? Who does Mazet want to win?
I suppose you have to be even and equal to all, but you know, he's got the perfect athlete with 16 wins last year. I'm sure that his interest is very much with this man just coming in now, Johannes Tingis, because he knows he can win, maybe even missing 1 today. He's got 31 seconds coming into the range ahead of Kuhn, who's in 2nd place.
And 51 seconds ahead of Bjørntegard, the current leader.
It's a good camera shot to see how high he has raised his foresight. You have to raise your rear sight as well equally, but he's missed 1.
So he has thrown 1 wide and he's opened the door to the opposition. Well, that certainly makes the race just that little bit more exciting. Johannes Tingis, despite the miss, he's still going to go ahead of Bjørntegard, who's cleared all the targets. For me, Mike, the question now is what can he do on the last loop? If he skis at the same speed, I think he's in the money for certainly for a top 3, possibly even the win. It's
incredible. His history here is perfect. He won last year, he won the year before, 2nd at the World Championships by 0.7 of a second, and that's his only 3 outings in the sprint from when he became a winner. This was his 5th ever win back 3 years ago. So all he has to do is set a vicious final 3.3 kilometers.
Yeah, he could do with some company, and I guess one of your teammates is as good as any, someone who's got slightly fresher legs. Well, let's look at the timings. Johannes Tingis is still 32 seconds clear, having missed 1 target. So that's 32 plus 26. That's an incredible pace that he set over the first 6.6 Ks. Logging off in now, and well, he's got a little bit of time to play with. He won't be so far off.
Now that 26 seconds is really, the penalty loop is only 24 today, 23, 24. He has a chance. Reaction shooting, the rifle comes way off target, straight down on, squeezes the trigger, perfect score.
24.2 seconds, just the shoot that Loganov needed, but in terms of ski speed, he is still 24 seconds or 12 seconds a lap slower than Johannes Tingis, and he gets the red light when he exits. 3.5 behind, but that's the sort of information that will give him a huge boost. Clement Bauer coming into the finish. It's been a brilliant shoot from him. Is he finally going to get himself on the podium? Maybe. 26.13, and Bauer's time actually after the range is still down in 4th place, which is a bit surprising. Burt, Loganov, Bjørntegard all ahead of him. Bjørntegard just 2 seconds clear. So Looks as though his PB of 4th is going to remain.
100% hit rate, you mentioned it, doesn't do it often.
This was a great shoot from Loganoff, and as you said, Mike, much more movement with the rifle after the shot, but straight back down, and then reflex shooting as the sights just drift over the target.
It's a lovely feeling, when you're in good form and it's just pure timing that you train so many times, and the body knows when the rifle comes back onto target. The position, the feel, it's secure.
Benedikt Dürl, 35. So effectively, he is 9 seconds slower than Loganoff. And as we know, Loganoff only 3.5 off the race leader, but Dürl needs 5. It's an upright.
And look at the design of the butt, the rear end of the rifle. It's designed for his prone and his stand. What a pity. The world champion from the 2016 here, he's not going to win today.
Yeah, he's skiing very well, because with a miss on the first prone, still to be in contention, but a second miss, I suspect, will keep him off the podium today. Leitner's going to get more reaction as this shoot goes on. They like it, and so they should. Another clear shoot, and with what do we had? Just over 20 athletes through. He's the 5th man to hit the perfect score. Loganoff, Bjørntegard, Bauer, Dolder has done it, and now Felix Leitner joins those without a miss so far today. Oh, Jacquelin, what an opportunity, Mike. Only 11.2 behind coming in.
He rushed. Sorry, his brain got in the way for that last shot. He knew he messed up missing the second shot, and then he went and missed the last shot. But his time was brilliant. He could have won with hitting all 5. Frank Bideau has seen him so many hours in training, and it's very different when you have a World Cup vest on and the pressure grows.
Well, the pressure, who is the pressure on now? Martin Fourcade, or does he say, right, ski steady, hit the targets, and I'm in there?
Well, interestingly, when in most of your career, you start in Group 1 or 2, nearly every race in your career, then all of a sudden you're starting so late in position 78, it's hard to hide away from what's happening, so that has a strong influence on what's happening in your mind.
Fillon Maillet, definitely a potential winner here today, and having produced a very, very quick time in the individual in Östersund.
And you're right, his ski time is second to only Johannes. He's 5.6 behind coming into range. You can see clearly the foresight. That's called a post ring. So you've got a little lollipop there type thing with a circle on top. It's uncluttered. You get a good sight picture.
Well, this looks as though it's going to be around a 31, 32 second shoot. But with 2 misses, that is him out of the equation. Eberhardt missed 2 on the prone, missed again in the stand. 14 seconds down at the moment, and he's going to have a lot of people to catch in the pursuit. I'm assuming, of course, that he finishes in the top 60. So Johannes Tingis is still there, but the very fact that his brother is right with him, well, that's the perfect answer, isn't it, Mike? Just what he needed. 45 now the lead. When he came out of the range, he was, well, actually, it's difficult to tell now because you've got to look to Bjørntegard, who was 32 behind. So he's gained another, 15 seconds or so on Bjørntegard, his teammate.
It's huge. I was thinking he would have loved his brother to have moved ahead of him, who's 3.3 kilometers fresher in his legs to drag Johannes on. But I think his brother is just surviving at that pace.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what Tardia does in the next stand. Here is Bjørntegard into the finish, and Norway go into the top spot. The way things are looking at the moment, we could see 2 Norwegians back on the podium. They achieved that in Östersund. Both Burr brothers getting on the podium in the first sprint of the season. Leitner now, 21 off the mark of Johannes Tingis, going through 7.7. That's not bad. He's done well. 14 he was, so Yeah, I think we can safely assume that Johannes Tingers has not eased up too much on this last lap.
So the final descent, what a good feeling that must be. A right-hander here, then a little drop-off.
Just a little bit shaky.
Scott Gow just allowing the Boer brothers to come through. One athlete we haven't really picked up on, Patrick, Fangming Cheng from China, 22 seconds off the pace, but in 11th position after the first shoot.
So Johannes Tingis, he sets a new mark, 47.6 his margin, but the danger men starting behind him, his brother for one, and this and Martin Fourcade. I thought that was Fourcade for a second. It is, was it?
It is, yeah.
I think it was.
Yeah,
I think it was.
He's had a shave, make him faster on the track.
I was trying to go from the running style, but we don't get to see him run so often. Now, is Tadia going to pay the price of chasing his brother?
Yes.
The answer is yes. Well, that's a shame, because the range entry time better than anyone else, and that's always dangerous.
That was his moment. Yes, he skied maybe a little faster than he was comfortable giving to stay with his brother, who was on the way to the finish, but then he just didn't have the feeling. He was desperate for more oxygen in between those two shots. Must be nerve-wracking for Martin to be aware. You can't but be aware of what's happening.
I think this is another good psychological test for him. He doesn't always pass them. And with Johannes Tingis being the man who's put the pressure on, it's going to be interesting to see if it's different from last year, because I think both of us feel that his drop-off in form from last year was a result of the competition between the two of them the year before.
Oh, absolutely. When Johannes Tingis won 9 of the World Cup races the year before, logging off just as he comes in, he left the range only 3.5 behind. He's now 14.6. That shows the pace of Johannes on the last lap. Yes, Martin really pushed the pace in the summer leading into last year, and that was his downfall. He admits that to that now.
Now, Gigener, another man who was in contention, 26. He was a penalty lap behind. And, of course, Johannes Tingis had to do a penalty lap on his last shoot. But with that one miss, he's going to end up pretty much the same amount behind, 28.9. He's not going to be able to close that, but could be good enough for a top 3, because the gaps at the top are so enormous. So Johannes Tingis is heading for the shower. Martin Fourcade is heading for the start line. On go the transponders.
Good to see the end of his rifle, the hook which goes under his armpits in the stand shoot. It helps take the weight of the rifle.
So Johannes Dahle for Norway, good start to his season. Steady opening lap.
Strange, it's a good time. He's only 13 off the fastest, but he's only 5 off third place, 5 seconds.
Not anymore. Make that 30. That's a shame.
I think the coaches burn a lot of energy, nervous tension energy watching their athletes.
Here comes Benedict Dull. What's he managed to do? 2 misses. Well, this ski speed is fantastic, because he's only 40 seconds down, which gives him, he skied within, what, 14, 15 seconds of Johannes Tingis' burst. Simon Schemp, a champion of old, but another 2 misses. He just hasn't managed to get his sights in this year. And Simon Schemp is going to make life hard in the pursuit. Leitner. A clear shoot, giving the Austrian fans something to shout about, and he goes into 3rd place. Great race. Great race.
That may stand the test of time. 35 behind. Although, of course, we've got this man still to start his race.
And of course, back in his favourite colour.
He loves yellow. Got used to it, hasn't he, for 7 consecutive seasons wearing it or winning it.
Yeah, he's 9 points clear of Johannes Tingis, so a top 2 finish for Martin Fourcade, and he will stay in yellow.
Strangely, the last 7 years, Martin has had a second, a second, a third, a second, a seventh, a second, and a second in this race here. And some of them were less than 1 second off the top spot, so it's been tight from here. He'd love a win.
I like that 2 or 3, maybe even 4 seconds that he spends watching the wind. Very, very careful indeed. He knows how important that prone shoot is. So what's the speed going to be like? Will he be affected by the fact that he knows exactly what he's got to do? 25:07 is the time he's got to beat over the 10 kilometres. But he does have that little chink of hope, Mike, because of Johannes Tingis missing 1 target.
He will have that in the back of his mind. He'll be aware as well. I honestly think that the tracks on Martin's first lap, as opposed to when Johannes went when it was snowing, I think this first lap for Martin Fourcade has the potential. It will feel easier, that's for sure. It is a little faster in terms of glide.
Well, we'll find out in almost exactly 7 minutes' time. Jakob Fack with a good run. He's like Clement Bauer. Has gone clear. That's extraordinary for the 2 of them to hit all the standing targets, Mike. Something strange is going on.
Hey, they can feel very good about the relay.
Now, Vindish, 11.1 outside, and that puts him into the top 7 or 8 positions, pretty much level with Johannes Kern, who we know had a very good run today.
So the Italians, I think, sensibly have opted for groups 3 and 4 with Vindish, bib 64, Lukas Hofer, bib 72. And Lukas is on fantastic pace. His ski speed is up there with the best.
Low left for the first one from Vindish. High central for 2. High left. It's not the best group we've ever seen, but everything's safely inside. Another high left shot. Oh,
then a big high left.
That's frustrating. They were just starting to get confident, and Vindish throws number 5 wide as we watch Petrushny come into the finish. 32, it's going to be okay. Leitner is safe, but Benedikt Dol is going down a slot. Into 4th for the Ukrainians. Vyashchemenko having a good run earlier. Zhima not going badly this morning for the Ukrainian team.
Petrushny will do the maths and think, had I not missed that shot, I'd be in 2nd place right now. 21 seconds, 22 seconds off 2nd place.
Just trying to think which of the athletes makes a habit of looking at the big screen. Martin Fourcade spends an age taking in the information on the screen rather than relying on his team out on the tracks.
It's quite interesting, you're right. He is a scoreboard watcher as he skis out. It's good to get some information and maybe even a change of scenery.
Arndt Pfeiffer, Olympic champion. Doesn't have so many wins in his career, but he's got plenty of big ones.
He needed 5 stand hits, but he's missed his first. And his third. Well, the German women's team didn't perform to their high standards from the past at this venue this morning. First 1:22 behind the lead time. It's unheard of. Elisiev, he left the range only 3.9 seconds behind Johannes Tingis Bö. Now it's 21.
Christiansen of Norway just going through. Is this Tadje Bø looking a little fatigued. Remember, he skied with his brother on that last loop, and those 2 misses have cost him dear. He would have been right up there, Mike. It's not a fantastic run from him. Remember, he's lying in 2nd place in the World Cup standings. 100 metres or so to go for Terje Bø of Norway. Can't match his brother, but he could put himself up into 3rd spot. I think he will. He'll go ahead of Leitner, and this is exactly where they finished in the first sprint of the year. There is a chance it will stay that way, but we have, just trying to think, we've got Alisiev out on the tracks, and Alisiev was a good 12 seconds faster than Terje Bø going through the 2nd chute.
Big effort there from Terje Bø. He survived the pace of his brother, who was chasing for the finish line. I think that's what put him off in the stand chute, missing 2.
Here comes Alisiev, just I think that was Giganard just in front of him, and Alisiev shooting the perfect score. Well, it's quite tight between himself and Terje Bø. He's not going to match Loganov if my predictions are right. Good little sprint, and that could be good enough to secure 3rd place. It will do. He's
picked up the pace in relation to Terje Bø.
That's a good run, 20.6. So Russia with Mironova going well this morning. Alisiev has performed. Now, what's Lukas Hofer? The Italians, like the French, favouring the latter part of the start sheet. Everything's drifting left. Can he keep it inside? He does, but that camera angle actually making it look as though it was closer to the edge than it actually was.
He's off. That's a good. He's in 4th position, equal with Alisiev after the prone.
So, first lap's going to be fast.
Well,
not quite as quick as we were expecting.
No, it's certainly not. Johannes Tinges was on fire at this stage.
But if he hits 10, that 6-second deficit suddenly becomes a 20-second advantage.
Yes, it absolutely does. But he'll know that 6 seconds is not overly negative at this stage, and I think he'll be holding himself within himself. How's that for encouragement?
Lapshin, of course, racing under the Korean flag, and made the switch before the Pyeongchang Olympics in 2018. And another very, very respectable. He's had a good start to the season, actually, and this is better than we've seen from him for a while. He's into 11th, should stay in the top 20, I would have thought.
I think you'll be delighted with that performance. 52 seconds behind. It'll be nibbled down. He might still remain top 17, top 15.
But nice for us that some of the big names starting later on. Dale. Got his personal best in the opening race of the year. 7th place. Well, it was worth those few seconds of delay, a couple of extra breaths just to settle the body down. I'm quite impressed. I've been impressed by what he's done so far this year.
I thought that was great discipline. He just held back from snapping the trigger as the rifle moved away. It was like a preemptive shot, and then he settled himself and got the last one. Here comes Martin.
I'll tell you who else has done well. You mentioned him earlier, Cheng, going through the early shoots, but he's come out of the 2nd shoot and he's still in the top 20. So it could be more World Cup points for Cheng, and of course his coach, Ole Einar Bjorndalen. What an impact. Now, remember, Johannes Tinges Bø hit all 5 in the prone. It was a steady shoot. Was that a delay? It was just a delay. I thought he'd let one go. So all 5 go down, but not the quickest shoot. 31.6. That's 5 or 6 seconds on the range given away. 6 seconds given away on the tracks. We're talking 12. We're in for another nail biter here in Hochfilzen. 10.1 the margin at the moment. Still 5 standing shots to hit, and that last lap. How important is that final lap with his brother going to be? Because I think that could have been worth 3 or 4 seconds.
I think so. A 10 seconds deficit now. I know that Matan took a little longer shooting. It's going to be tight. Interesting to see Johannes Tingesbø shake his head. He thought maybe that Matan missed the middle shot.
Yeah.
Don't know what happened there, but he had to hesitate. As usual, mechanical, great discipline. Didn't let the shot go until he was absolutely centered. Lovely camera shot. Just feel the ease of his position, neatly into the shoulder. Everything about that position is secure and anchored.
Be interesting to know whether he actually enjoys these tight races and the tension and the nerves that go with this sort of situation than when he was winning with ease. He was winning just racing at 85%. Now he has a major job on his hands just to get in the top 3, let alone win it. But for me, he doesn't look quite as confident as he used to look when he was winning day in, day out.
Do you know, I think you've hit the nail on the head as Fillon Maillet comes in, take his shooting performance away. He is skiing so fast. And go back to Matan, he never used to allude about pressure or feeling chased or feeling anything. He was just doing his biathlon his way. But at the last couple of press conferences, it's about, you know, even the French team are chasing me. There's pressure. He talks a little more about pressure now. And I think his confidence was a little knocked last year with Johannes Tingesbø winning so many races.
Windisch needs this. That's good. That's good. He's a world-class performer, and actually, between himself and Lukas Hofer, tell you what, the Italians mixed relay team at the World Championships in Antolz, if that doesn't get a full house, I'd be very, very surprised, because with Vitozzi and Vera and Windisch, of course, and Lukas Hofer, they have a fantastic chance to take the gold medal.
They have. And look at Simon Dessau. He's only 3 seconds off the pace. He's in second place after the first shoot. Fantastic ski pace. 100% hit rate so far.
Time split coming up for Martin Fourcade. 10 seconds down last time we saw. Has he just put the foot down a little bit on this first half of lap number 2? Not sure he has. I think it's drifted to 12, just about 11.9. So little between the two of them. But
interesting race. He looks composed though, doesn't he, Patrick? He's not on full pace yet. You just feel there's something left inside to attack later.
Yeah, I think the advantage is to Fourcade at the moment because of that one miss from Johannes Tingesbø on the standing shoot. Should he hit 9, Mike? I think your money has to be on Johannes Tinges.
Yeah.
Should he hit 10?
Yep.
I think it goes the other way.
I feel, absolutely. You just feel that if Martin gets these 5 stand shots, he's got a strong chance of winning this one. We saw Arndt Pfeiffer coming in there, third German position with Benedikt Doll in 7th. Kuhn in 14th and Pfeiffer now in 16th.
Hasilla just ahead of Christiansen. Christiansen wearing 73 for Norway. Now, Dmitry Malishko, 13.1. You see, that's another good time. That puts him into the top 15 in terms of ski speed. And the Russian flag is up there, Mike. We've got Malishko, we've got Loganov, we've got Alisiev, all skiing way better than they were last week in Östersund.
And the women's team as well, they'd lifted their ski speed. And of course, taking a 3rd position in the women's sprint. Fabulous.
I think that was the best grouping we've seen so far today, of the ones that we've got a good close shot of. Everything slightly low right, but I think they would have gone through a 5-penny piece.
That was accurate shooting. Yep, nothing outside the 9 ring. That's incredible at that pulse rate and that intensity.
Keeps him within 15.7. He's in the money. top 3 possible. 20 seconds separating the top 3 in the finish. Bö ahead of Loginov, ahead of Alisiev. So 2 Russians on the podium at the moment. Tadej Bö in 4th. Leitner of Austria, great run from him. 35 seconds off the leading time, but still in the top 5. But things are likely to change. And Lukas Hofer could be one of those who changes things in the top of the order. Now, if Bauer and Fack can hit 5 in the stand, so can Hofer.
That's what he'll be trying not to be thinking about now. He'll just be trying to think process. He'll know this race is going very well so far.
Four was so easy.
Well,
what happened with shot number 2?
Singerly, a shake of the head. He knows that his man's on ski form enough to certainly podium, potentially to have won there, but he needed 5.
Christensen fast enough to ski himself into 2nd, but only if all 5 fall.
I always believe so much in Christensen when it comes to the stand shoot, but something went on there. There's no wind influence. Meltdown.
Increased pressure. He knows how well he was going. Wolfgang Pichler behind Zimazé. Hannes Dahle. This isn't so far off the leaders, but he's, by my reckoning, about 15 seconds down on Tadej Bö, which will put him into... He's going to be battling with the likes of Doll and Fack and Fillon Maillet, who are between 40 and 47 off the pace of the leader. He's just ahead of Fack and Dahle into 8th position at the moment, and that pushes Bjørntegard of Norway out of the top 10.
That's pretty good performance, though, from a 22-year-old. His game is pretty much there, just missing 1 shot. That accounts for missing the podium, I would say.
Yeah, 4 Norwegians in the top 11 at the moment. Toby Eberhardt goes 24th, 1:33. That's the deficit he will have at the moment at the start of the pursuit. It won't get smaller, it could get bigger, depending on what this man does. Still got a minute 30 in hand.
Toby Eberhardt, he still hasn't beat his brother, who missed 3. Toby, the older brother, is in 24th, and Julien is 21st, missing 3 targets. Look at the time, look at the clock ticking there. It's a big advantage to Martin. Just turn right now, and then under the tunnel there, a little climb up into the range you can see now.
Fillon Maillet absolutely flying for France. I think he may well have the fastest track time today. We'll certainly be able to bring you the analysis tomorrow. But France, their top 4 performers have all missed at least 1 target. They need this man to clear 5. 13 seconds down. Should he hit 5, he's going out with at least a 10-second advantage. Ooh, which one was it of Johannes Tinges's? I think it was number 4. He's got some skiing to do now. He's missed another one, and Johannes Tinges is safe for now.
Do you know what? The ice in his mind that he used to display for those straight 7 years, it's melted a little. The confidence is as cracking that powerhouse that he had, and that was his mind. That's a real pity.
More mistakes are made when the pressure is on.
But you know, sorry, I honestly think to have waited so long, he's not used to starting so far back. Johannes knows the victory's his.
Yeah. It's not often you celebrate someone else's mistakes, but in this game, you just have to hope and pray that the man who is challenging makes a mistake. Second time round for Martin Fourcade. That's going to take much of his spirit away, as well as increasing his time by another 25 seconds.
It's the battle of the giants, isn't it? And Martin has always said he would review his career in biathlon after the World Championships in Antholz. I really hope he stays to the next Olympics in Beijing. It's still a great time, missing 2 targets. He's 33 seconds behind. He's only to pick up 10 seconds, and he moves up to 8th from 15th.
Well, Johannes Tinger certainly thinks he's got it. He's had a good look at the order. Just looking at the later starters after shoot number 2. Well, no one's threatening there after the first shoot. We've obviously got Martin Fourcade. No one after. We got Malishko. He started 87, Mike. He's still got a chance. Only 15 down after that first shoot. So hang around until at least Malishko goes through the second shoot, because if he goes 5 with 5, he might be in with a chance.
And another one we haven't really mentioned as Vindish comes in. 31 seconds behind. That's a great 5th position.
Yeah, and Strechy, or Stretchy as we know him, number 16, number 86. He's gone through in 16th place after the first shoot.
Look at this, Dessau. He, in the back of his mind, knows full well that it needs to be 5 to win this race.
Well, in fact, he's quicker than Martin Fourcade, as was Fillon Maillet. So, the French skiing brilliantly. None of them have managed to put together 10 good shots, and that puts Dessau out of contention for the win, but certainly a top 3 is possible. Remember, 20 seconds separating the top 3 at the moment in the finish area, and the way that Dessau is skiing,
he'd have had a 9-second advantage there with 1 lap to go. He still has a chance to chase the podium, and I think he will probably end up on the podium.
I'll tell you what, Vincent Vittor, who's been coaching the French, he's going to be in hot demand if the French go on skiing like this all season.
He definitely has. 2 years now as coach, he's lifted the team. He may have made Martin's journey more difficult by getting all the others chase him and use him. There's a happy man.
So, next man we're waiting for is Malishko. Should still be a couple of minutes before he comes in. Martin Fourcade exiting the range, and he was, with those 2 misses, it pushed him down, just trying to find his position, pushed him down to 16th place, 33 behind, and that usually takes his spirit away. 37 now.
Well, he left the range, remember, I think it was 33 behind. It was.
Oh, that's a shame. He was looking at a top 10 definitely. Now, oh, now he's going to be struggling to make the top 30. And from a good points tally, he's hardly going to pick up any. Dmitry Malishko in the same sort of position, 26.5. A quick shoot and 5 targets. He's only going to be a couple of seconds outside, but there's the first mistake and the next. Were he down in 30th position, I think he probably would have cleared all 5.
Interesting, isn't it? What the mind does when you know that you have that possibility to touch the podium. You just feel that by taking the breathing, controlling the breathing is everything. Centering yourself to breathing, it calms you down. But he was tight. He rushed that whole sequence. Didn't work.
Now, I think Lukas Hofer could be looking at a top 4 position. He's not so far behind on the time that we saw from Tadej Bö. And if he's picked up a couple of seconds over the last kilometre, he may well challenge Aliciev on 20.6. Oh, he's going to be just outside, I think. No! Look at that, 0.2 off the podium. Another brilliant performance from Lukas Hofer. The Italians will be disappointed that he's not in the top 3, but Lukas, I think, can be happy that his season is going in the right direction.
0.2 of a second, Patrick. It's nothing. The margins are so fine, and Lukas will be so disappointed that he'll realize I could have pushed maybe around that corner a bit faster. I could have attacked over one of the tops a little harder. 0.2 of a second.
Yeah, if he had legs the length of Julian Eberhardt, he could have lunged for the line and made it.
Thrown the foot forward.
Now, what about Dessau? One miss,
he's going to take it.
15.5. I tell you what, Mike, in terms of ski speed, he's 10 seconds up on Johannes Tingesbø. This is going to be close. He's certainly going for the top 2. Logging off is not safe in second position, but I don't think he's... can he possibly make up 15 seconds? Surely not.
It's unlikely, not at this stage. Running out of track, just a big climb. Martin is struggling on this last loop. That beautiful crispness through his skis. He's still balanced well, but he hasn't got the same drive.
It's going to be the first time outside the top 5 for Martin Fourcade this season. And as he had to finish in the top 2 to guarantee holding on to the yellow bib is going to change hands again. We'll have to make a tally. I think this could be the season that they have to produce more and more yellow bibs.
Changing every race practically. Travis Cooper just been passed there, the American.
Anything for the Americans to celebrate? Certainly not on the front page of the leaderboard at the moment.
I'll just look to Leif Nordgren after the second shoot. Only 1 minute 3 behind, but that was in 34th position. Ahead of him, Sean Doherty, 55 seconds behind.
Top 30 for Doherty at the moment. Good solid start from Horn. If he loses 10 seconds a lap but hits all the targets, then he could well find himself in the top 5.
It's quite tough for Philip Horn. If you're in the German team and you've got the least World Cup points, you will always get Group 4, the worst group. But he just has to try and get all 5 in the standing, and that could lift his World Cup points. Mark Kirchner just quietly telling coaches trackside what's happened, and it's quite negative, missing 1 shot.
Last couple of 100 meters for Martin Fourcade, and he's, what, almost 20 seconds off the podium today. Could find himself just inside the top 10. No, the spirit has gone. Those 2 misses in the stand taking away his fight. We saw him ease up in the relay when he was up against Johannes Tingesbø, 38.8. And in terms of the World Cup, Mike, sure, he loses points today. He loses the yellow bib, but he also puts himself at a massive disadvantage at the start of the pursuit.
He does. That's a long margin, 38.8 seconds. He only lost 5 seconds, though, to Johannes Tingesbø over the last 3.3 kilometers.
Well, it's astonishing what Phil Maillet
and second place
have done.
Desio is going to, I think, beat Loginov. Therefore, Eliseev drops down off the podium into 4th.
Jacquelin, another French skier who's put in a tremendous time. Not sure Martin Fourcade even gets the head of the table at dinner anymore. He's really under pressure from his own team. And, of course, this man, Johannes Tingesbø, today's winner.
Johannes last week, Patrick, saying that the field is closed, and he says I can't afford to miss any shots to win a sprint race anymore. I didn't actually believe that at the time. Yes, that was the case last week, but he's back into his racing, and I think we see Johannes. He missed 1, and so far Loginov and Eliseev behind him, they hit all 10 and detached by 14 and 20 seconds.
Yeah, so that's 2 sprint wins, and he's missed a shot on both occasions. Last year, we expected that, but he's certainly a little bit slower than he was last year. Or maybe we should look at it the other way around and say that the rest are quicker. The French are certainly a deal quicker. Today, the Russians much quicker than they were at any stage last year.
They certainly are. And on this race last year, Johannes Tingesbø, he missed 1, and he won the race by 8.6 seconds ahead of Martin, who was second place, shooting the perfect score.
And Simon Dessieux, he goes into second place. That is the fastest final lap we've seen from anyone today. Johannes Tingis was waiting until Simon Dessieux had finished, but there really was no danger. Having said he wouldn't gain 15, he gained half of it. That was a tremendous finish, and he managed to push Loganov down into 3. Elisiev off the podium this time round. Hoffer goes down to 5, and Tadej Bo has to settle for 6th place. Remember, he finished 3rd in the first sprint of the season. But the winner is the same. Johannes Tingis Bo has done what Dorothea Viera has done. Won here last year, won the first sprint of the season, and won the second sprint as well here in Hochfilzen. So well, we've still got a way to go in this men's sprint event here in Hochfilzen. The last starter today was Philipp Horn of Germany. He started 1:11. Malishko competitive all the way through to the second shoot, but those 2 misses costing him any chance of getting into the top 3, down into 26th position. You take 50 seconds off that, although 42, 43 probably more likely for the 2 penalties.
It seems like Malishko, we saw him so competitive coming into his last shoot. He's lost his way on the last lap, losing a lot of that early ski time that he displayed. Fatigue, or maybe just being so annoyed, missing 2 targets out of 5 in stand position. Anderson, second last starter, bib 110. First World Cup for him today, and anybody that wears that great Norwegian suit has to be good. Still young, still only 20. And performing well at the IBU Cup.
Philipp Horn still has the standing shoot to go. Just tucked in behind him, David Komatz of Austria. And the Austrians certainly will be celebrating Leitner's performance. He's still in the top 10, lying 8th at the moment. No one else from the Austrian team in the top 25.
Just go back to, Anderson, his first ever World Cup. He's in 13th place after prone shooting. The Norwegian, second last to start, so he'll be in for a stand shooting soon.
Dessieux happy with his second place. And when he has a look at the race analysis this evening, and sees that he is skiing just about the same speed as Johannes Tingis Bo. He took time off Bo on that last lap, which is absolutely key. Did have a lot to race for, has to be said. Other quick ski times, Mike. Talia Burr missing 2, still finishing 6th. He pretty much matched his brother stride for stride. And then if we go down to 14th place, Phil Maillet, 3 misses, only 45 seconds off. So he has matched Johannes Tingesbø as well.
Fast skiing, and as the new normal, Johannes Kuhn missing 3. He's 57 seconds behind, 19th position. Again, this is a good performance from the Finn, Eden Salo, but he needs to just organize his stand shooting. The prone was good. Here's Anderson. Not bad for a first World Cup. You could feel the pressure there. He must have thought, if I only miss one, I'm still going to place in the top 20. He'll have to work hard now to achieve that.
No. Philip Horn at 47. That sort of deficit, good enough for the top 15. It's going to be quite hard to hang on to it. Haven't heard too much from the crowd today, Mike. I guess part of that is because the Austrians went early, decided that Group 1 was the place to be.
I was going to say the audience a little detached here. They're not breathing on the range, but you can certainly hear them when you're in the stadium. Nothing like Antholz, where you can sense the spectators right beside you on the range. Ruhpolding as well. And of course all the scaffolding going up in La Grande Bonnade for the races next week. I think 8,000 behind the range, and then of course many more allowed onto trackside around the track. It's fantastic. Philip Horn, has he done enough to get himself out of starting last in the German team? He needs points, he needs World Cup points to dig his way out.
Well, quite a few of the spectators starting to drift away as we watch Dombrovski for Lithuania. 2 misses on the prone. Take them away, and he would have been right up in the top 20 without any trouble at all. Yeah, he's dug deep. Very deep. In terms of nationalities, well, Norwegians, they stick out. 3 in the top 15. In fact, 4 in the top 15, because we've got Dale in there as well, who's finished 12th. The French, Mike, yes, they got Simon Dessieux. Martin Fourcade down in 10th. We've got Phil Maillet in 14, Guigenard in 16. Then we've got Jacquelin in 18 and Cloud in 22. Wow, that is a team. Yeah, they'll be wishing they had a 6-man relay, because that would be virtually unbeatable. But that's what we thought in Östersund at the weekend. But, you know, on paper doesn't mean much when it comes to the tension and the drama of a relay. It doesn't.
Buchhalter, the young Swiss athlete, looking good there. He's hit the perfect 10. The Germans, on the other hand, Benedikt Dahl, their best in 11th. And then Kuhn, 19th. And Arnpfeifer, 23rd.
Schemp, 25. So at least they got 4 on the front sheet of the results paper, but that is a lot better than their women did this morning. There'll be a lot of harsh words, I think, in the German camp, and as you said, a few more begging letters going to Laura Dalmar, trying to persuade her to come out of retirement.
Come back, help us.
Yeah, Dalmar, Neuner. Neuner's still young enough to be racing, but gave up long ago.
Just looking in the top 20, some personal bests actually. Thierry Langer from Belgium. Yes, we've seen Mickey Roche produced better at World Cup, but that's by a long shot Thierry Langer's best performance. He's hit the perfect 10. 20th position, only 59 seconds behind. Jakub Fak shot the perfect score in 13th, Slovenian. And the two Italians, I think Lukas Hofer and Dominik Windisch with a 5th and a 7th. They're at the sharp end of the world.
Yeah, that's encouraging stuff. In terms of shooting, Russia stand out with Loganov and Alisiev finishing 3 and 4, both shooting the perfect score. Leitner of Austria hitting 10, but the biggest surprise of the day, Fak and Bauer both hitting 10 out of 10. I hope that is a sign of things to come. Lapshin, yes, one-man band. Not quite sure of his training circumstances. Racing obviously for career. Difficult situation to be in, but his form seems to be fantastic this year. And then what do we got further down? Bauer, actually, despite hitting 10, down in 24th. Slightly surprised by that, but he has beaten Simonschemp and Malishko, who are 25-26. This is your winner, Johannes Tingesbo, on top of the podium yet again. Well, the ski jumping is next, and Simon Golding standing in for David Goldstrom for the ski jumping. And of course, we will be back tomorrow. 2 more races coming up from Hochfilzen, and we start tomorrow with a women's relay. That starts at 10:30 UK time, and we'll have the men's pursuit in the afternoon at 1:55. Tingesbo will go first.
Flower ceremony here in the finishing area. Artem Dishchenko also
2-2-2. Two. Hey, Paris.
Yeah, certainly. Welcome to the iconic German Nordic venue of Klingenthal and the Vogtland Arena. Hopefully that sounds okay. Lovely. Thank you.
Bewältigt den letzten Fang. Und in Kürze.
Welcome to the iconic, and I'm sad to say, a little breezy German Nordic venue of Klingenthal and the Vogtland Arena as the FIS Ski Jumping World Cup rolls into town for another superb week of action from what is already an intriguing season here on Eurosport. There's a cosmopolitan feel to the current rankings. No less than 7 different nations feature in the top 10, and with a combination of changes to coaching staff, injuries to some of the top athletes, and a slow start from several big stars, the competitions are wide open with opportunities for some new names to break through. Simon Golding covering for David Goldstrom today, and coming up over the next hour of 15 minutes, 61 athletes go in qualification for Sunday's big showdown on the large hill. It'll all kick off with Mackenzie Boyd-Klaus, NBC from Canada. And then going on down through that list, we've got a fair few big names who performed pretty well over the last 3 or 4 weeks, with Switzerland, Austria, both coming back to the fore with some of their big name athletes. And in particular, if we take a look back at the last few weekends, well, Austria will be delighted with the performance of their athletes. But some form being shown by 1 or 2 of the German athletes coming into their home venue. Markus Eisenbichler looked pretty good in training earlier today, but could be a little bit of a lottery once again with conditions. And then moving on down.
Also allein positioniert mit den Runden 3 Happy Hour von 18 bis 20 Uhr, wollte ich noch dazu sagen. Und ganz wichtig, und es gibt einen Shuttlebus, der ist 21 Uhr, der ist Sie, nach Überkommen, nach Santiago,
Johannes, congratulations. You went full risk in the standing, but it really paid off.
Yeah, it's. I tried to get a good speed, so when I start shooting, I will not wait between the shots, and this was a good success. I wanted to shoot clean, but in the end I get one penalty, but still it was enough to get the victory.
another win. What are the feelings?
It's, even though you win race after race, it's still as good feeling as the first one. This brings a lot of motivation, and you know that if you go really hard on the skis and you push all you can, you know there is a small chance to get the victory, and that helps me.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
BMW IBU World Cup Biathlon Tirol Hochfilzen, the presentation of top 6 competitors. Auf Rang Nummer 3, in third, representing Russia aus Russland, Alexander Loginov. SV-Präsident Peter Schötzner ritzt den Blumen für die Nummer 3 am heutigen Tag, Alexander Loginov. An der zweiten Stelle, in the second, representing France aus Frankreich, Simon Destieux. Erster und damit Sieger von Hochfilzen, first and winner here in Hochfilzen again, representing Norway aus Norwegen, Johannes Dinjes Bø. Die Top 3 aus 3 verschiedenen Nationen, Norwegen, Frankreich, Russland. An der vierten Stelle, in fourth place, representing Russia once again aus Russland, Mathieu Eliseyev. An der fünften Stelle im Peps aus Italien, representing Italy, Lukas Lukihofer. Und auf Rang Nummer 6 in Fix, representing Norway, aus Norwegen, Tarjei Bø.
Charlotte heute auch von Peter Volksnadel und